Governor Hickenlooper will be joining us in a little bit, but he's not quite here yet. We have Kathy Ritter, the director of the Colorado Tourism Office. Thank you, Kathy. Richard Scharf with Visit Denver. Hitstick, CMO at Gates. Gates has been a partner of ours in the Colorado Classic since the first year. We're excited to have them on again for 2019. Thank you, Tom. Before we get started, we would like to show a brief video that sets the stage for our news. I think it's fair to say that what we're announcing today will create a new narrative in women's cycling and the sport in general.
Making sure you know this, we ferocious. Close your mouth, cause you look funny, but I know it's cause I'm stunning. I can't help that I'm the flyest, and all the people love me. Sharpening in my claws, so you better step back. I'm sharpening my claws, so you better step back. Making sure you know this, we ferocious.
I'm going to turn it over to Ken Gart, the chairman of RPM Events Group.
Thank you. Thanks, Tiffany and Lucy. So it's awesome to be here. I think we have some game-changing news. Today, I am proud to announce that the Colorado Classic is becoming a women's standalone race and one of the only premier women's stage races in the Western Hemisphere. We will not have a men's race in 2019. We're doing so much more than focusing on women's cycling. We're putting our money where our mouth is, or our money where our race is. The prize list for the women will be roughly 4 times what it was last year. Plus, we will be giving stipends for each team. For the women. Our race will be one of the most financially supportive races for women in the world, which I think is a great step towards financial equality. Additionally, we're putting the women's race on a world stage and given women's cycling enormous exposure that also has never been done before. We will have live, free video streaming every day of the race. It'll be distributed around the world on Facebook and other platforms. We've proved last year that we can be innovative in that space. We're really excited about that as well. And we're building the race just for women specifically. There'll be longer, more challenging routes, better start times, which again we think is going to help it to be a game changer. The world will be watching. The state of Colorado has been instrumental in bringing back the Colorado Classic and pro racing, and our partners are here today that have gotten the vision. It was really fun to go through this process. I told Governor-elect Polis, if you look at cycling around the world, what's very common is to say we don't have the budget or we don't have the ability to do women's race or women's event at all. That's what is frequently done. We're really turning that on its head. We're really saying that we love men's cycling. We're proud of the work that myself and David Koff and our team have done the last couple of years, and I think we were very innovative, but our ability to impact men's cycling really was very minimal. Our potential to impact women's cycling around the globe, we think is really dramatic. So that's the exciting piece of this. And really the partners within the state and our corporate supporters got it. It's really fun as we talk to Kathy at CTO, Dawn at the Office of Film and Television Media, and the city, Richard, Kathy Stracina is here. As we talked to our partners about it, it was fun. I almost could have scripted it. I would tell people, hey, in men's cycling, you know, here's the model. They get, we fly the teams over, all this kind of stuff. And for women, you know, we tried to be innovative. In the first year, we did no podium girls. We had all female announcers. But the truth of the matter is the women homestay. They really get no support. So I would tell people we're dropping the men. And people would go, really? And then we would talk about it, and almost to a T, everyone in the state, and the city, and our sponsors said, that's the brand for Colorado. That's the brand for the city of Denver. And that's been super gratifying. So with that, I will turn it over to our governor-elect, Jared Polis.
You know, showing the commitment of Colorado to cycling, it's great to have not one, but soon we'll have two governors, the current and future governor, here together to talk about the importance of the Colorado Classic in our state. I want to congratulate RPM Events for this bold move that frankly puts women's cycling and Colorado on a world stage. All eyes will be watching us in the sport. I'm proud of the work of Governor Hickenlooper and other stakeholders in Colorado for their role in making this race possible, and we look forward to seamlessly continuing the advocacy work around the cycling community and highlighting Colorado in the next administration. Over 3 years ago, Governor Hickenlooper challenged our bicycle czar, you just heard from, Ken Gart, to bring pro cycling back to Colorado after a 2-year hiatus, and to do it in a sustainable and a socially impactful way. And thus the Colorado Classic was born. And the state participated in support through sponsorship from the Office of Economic Development, the Colorado Tourism Office, and the Colorado Office of Film, Television, and Media. And in its first 2 years, the race has become a big success, drawing hundreds of thousands of fans, bringing positive association to the Colorado brand, visitors from around the world, and enormous media and TV exposure. Now, in its third year, with this bold move of becoming the premier women's race in the Western Hemisphere, the Colorado Classic and the state of Colorado are even better aligned with messages of innovation and inclusion, while showcasing our diverse outdoors and our health and wellness lifestyle that's so important to who we are as Coloradans. I'm excited to work with the cycling community to ensure that the Colorado Classic continues and grows through my governorship and really becomes a linchpin of the cycling community and of Colorado's place on the national and international stage. The world will be watching the race and Colorado. And we here in Colorado look forward to working with Colorado Classic to make it the best women's race in the entire world. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor-elect Polis. We appreciate the support. I would now like to welcome Sean Petty to the podium. Sean Petty has been the women's race director for the past 2 years for the Colorado Classic and will continue on in 2019. He's also a USA Cycling board member and on the UCI Road Commission. Sean?
Thanks, Lucy. I want to, again, first off, acknowledge Ken Gart and David Koff and all the investors. I mean, this is a monumental day for women's cycling here, and it's a huge paradigm shift. You know, normally when you hear about a race going away, it's the women's race, and this is flipping the script, and it's time we did this. So I couldn't be more. It's a privilege, Ken and David, to run the women's race. It's been there. You all have evolved. We fought the 2 days, then 4 days, and now it's only the women's race. So couldn't be more excited. As Ken mentioned, you know, again, it allows us a number of things. We're going to add it to the women's calendar, the international calendar, which we haven't been on before. That's significant for women's racing here in the States and around the world. Again, it's going to be part of the USA Cycling Pro Road Tour, which is the elite series of races. It has been the last few years. And Ken mentioned we can build a race for the women, and that means we can design the stages just for the women. So longer stages, more challenging. They don't have to be there at 8:30 in the morning to race their bikes and eat breakfast at 4 in the morning to be ready to go, because it's very different for the women to do that. So this is going to be fantastic, and something we haven't had in the U.S. in quite a while, really. I think the one thing that didn't get applause from Ken that absolutely, and that is the live streaming. And this is a huge piece. And the women's teams and the women's sponsors and the UCI, everyone is working on more exposure for the women. So there's more exposure to see how exciting, challenging the women's racing is, and also for their sponsors, which will increase the investment. So again, that live streaming, Ken, that's a game changer, because some of the biggest women's events in the world do not have live TV. So that's huge. Thanks, Ken. And with all of that, I think, as Ken said, this will be, is again, in my role on the UCI Road Commission, I know the women's races, and this will be one of the best supported women's races in the world. And we will see that, and the women and riders will benefit from that. And again, I expect we'll have approximately 20 teams, and we'll have an international field. We're blessed in the U.S. with having some of the best riders in the world, and consistently for the U.S., the medal winners, the Olympic medal winners and world champions have been women, and that will continue. And so this race will be 1 year out from Tokyo. We've got a lot of athletes who will be preparing there and probably be on the Olympic team, and we've got a lot of great riders here today. I'd have to totally have to recognize Marianne Martin. I know Lucy's going to call her out, but Marianne is a legend, a living legend. So Marianne was the first to win the Women's Tour de France, and actually first American to win Tour de France, period. So good to see you, Marianne. And again, so this is a first-class race. We've got Medalist Sports is putting it on. They've put on the biggest races in the world. The organization is fantastic behind it. We appreciate the investors. And as I said, this will be a year out from the games. I want to bring up one of our 2016 U.S. Olympians, Ruth Winder, is here. She rode for Sunweb this year. Will ride for Trek Factory Racing next year. Sunweb's one of the top teams, women's teams in the world, so she'll be continuing to do most of her racing in Europe. But Ruth, again, a 2016 Olympian, and lives in Boulder. So we're grateful to have Ruth here and say a few things about the race. Thanks, Ruth.
Everyone. Keep hearing Tokyo's a year away from this race was a little bit nerve-wracking for me. So, no, I am so excited to be here and supporting this race. I think it's really cool. I race around the world. I grew up racing all through the U.S. and through the U.S. Pro Tour in 2016 and 17. And yeah, really, I've been racing all over the world, and people support me and are always asking me, like, how can we follow the race? How can we watch you? And a lot of the time, you just can't watch women's racing. It's really hard to watch. It's really hard to follow. One of the big standalone stage races I do is at Giro Rosa in Italy in July, and it's a big goal for me every year, and I won a stage there this year, and nobody could really watch it, which was really disappointing for me and a lot of people. So to have this race in Colorado is special to me because I live in Colorado, but also the amount of support that's going into women's racing and into the U.S. like this. I think that this race is really cool, and I really hope that lots of Europeans see it and want to come over and race, which I really think that might happen. So I just feel really excited to see this happening and to be a part of it, and thank you all for making it happen.
Thank you, Ruth. Now I would like to invite Richard Sharp from Visit Denver up to the podium. Likewise, the support you heard Governor-elect speak about from the state, Visit Denver has been a fantastic partner, not only for the past 2 years for our event, but in previous years of professional bike racing here in the state of Colorado. So thank you, Richard. Okay.
Thank you, Lucy. I'm always excited to hear when someone says that Ken is evolved. That's always a good thing. No. But anyway, this is a great move for women's sports in cycling, and it's a very exciting announcement for Denver. Visit Denver has been, as Lucy mentioned, a supporter of cycling for the last 8 years, starting way back when we had the U.S. Pro Challenge and now with the Colorado Classic. In addition, as we always do, we're going to make sure that we market this all over the world with all the tools we have in our tool belt, from advertising to social media to all the different marketing channels. So we're really excited about this. But as everybody knows here, this just doesn't happen. It takes a lot of effort, and I want to thank Ken Gart and David. Over the years, I think back the last 8 years of what you've done from the very beginning. Obviously, Governor Hickenlooper for what he has done and the support he's given. It really exemplifies our brand in the state and in the city as an outdoor city. And of course, Governor-elect Polis, because to take the torch and run with it the way he's going to do, I'm really excited about that, and it just shows great support. This will attract, as we heard, elite racers, and I think I've said before, it's really zigging when everybody else is zagging, and that really is the spirit of Colorado. The future is to those who are flexible and innovative, and I think Ken and the group have really shown they're going to make this work. It's not only going to help us, as I mentioned, but we are an outdoor city, and that's, if I describe it, whether it's patios in February and December that are open, or whether you can have the best of both worlds without giving up something, we really exemplify that. And I'm just really thrilled. This is a trailblazer move. It's really going to be a tipping point, and so we appreciate you allowing us to be part of it again. Congratulations to all the ladies and to all the teams coming to Denver and Colorado. It's going to be an exciting year, so thank you very much.
And now I see he has arrived. I would like to invite Governor Hickenlooper up to say a few words.
So this is always the wonderful opportunity to say once more what's already been said. But I do get a chance to recognize our two favorite, the Car Talk, one of the legendary talk or public radio programs, was famous for Click and Clack, the Tappet brothers. And I think we have hub and spoke in David Koff and Ken Gart, who have really put their heart and soul into this and really have create a vision now, as you've heard today, to do something completely new that really is taking an event that was successful already and giving it a different twist that will, I think, really accelerate its scalability in terms of audience, in terms of engagement in the community, and I think in terms of overall benefit to Colorado and to cycling. I think it makes it a very exciting day for Colorado cycling. 92% of Coloradans recreate outside in some form or another. 92%, just to be perfectly clear. And that was part of what drove us when we created Colorado the Beautiful, the notion that, within a generation we would get every kid to be within a 10-minute walk of a green space, either a park or a playground, a little wildlife area, whatever it is. I think that is the context by which we embrace pro racing. And I think in some powerful way, when first time I came through Colorado, that it was a week after they'd had one of the early Zinger races way back in I guess it was in the 70s. That's hard to imagine. But anyway, it's hard to imagine I was ever that young. I think that the fact that Colorado's love getting outside does make us the natural center, the center of gravity for professional bike racing. And I think to really highlight women's racing and allow it to get the focus and attention that it's a defining moment. And I think when you get again, we're going to have many of the world's greatest women riders. They're going to get the center stage. We will get a much deeper look, and I think the penetration of the media into, the more people will hear about it, and more people will hear about these women racers in a powerful way, while at the same time we're highlighting Colorado's natural scenic splendors and its availability to bike riding. And Lord knows Ken Gard has spent enough time helping plan all these trails. We're ready to get more people on the trails. I always talk, I never miss a chance to talk about my first long ride when I was a tender lad of 20. And my brother-in-law was teaching school in Putney, Vermont. We got up early. We left at about 5:30 in the morning. The sun was just coming up. It was in August. And we drove over a couple of what they call in back east mountain ranges. They weren't really a sequence of hills, hardly mountains. But they were long climbs, long continuous climbs down these river basins. We did about 120 miles to go from Putney, Vermont to get to Sandwich, New Hampshire. And that ride, where it was the first time I fully understood that traveling on a bicycle is different than any other travel, right? That unlike being in a car or a bus or any vehicle like that, as you go past a farm or go through a forest, you smell it, you see it, you hear it. You're part of it. You can do that when you're walking or even jogging, but then you don't get to see as much because you're moving so slowly. Bicycles allow you to move at a pretty rapid pace as you experience those outdoors. So I think what cycling has done for Colorado already is pretty powerful. I think what cycling and what Velorama is going to do for us going forward is even more powerful. I mean, what's not to love about bikes, beers, and bands? It was essentially the recipe here. You know, it will be. I think it will end up being as exciting an event as we have in the entire summer anywhere in the state of Colorado. So happy to be supportive, and I look forward to cheering the winners on when we get down to that final day of the races. I'll turn it back over to Lucy. Where'd she go? There she is.
As you saw in the video earlier today and have heard throughout this press conference, we're excited that the 2019 Colorado Classic is going to be more than a race. It's going to be a movement. And as an athlete and a mother of a 9-year-old daughter, I personally couldn't be more excited. We are embracing the opportunity to go beyond prize money, to go beyond competition, and to go beyond the bike to make a resounding impact. Our vision is to inspire and empower women of all ages, to show that stereotypes are no longer relevant, that glass ceilings are meant to be broken, and that no man or woman can tell you what you can or cannot do on the playing field, in the classroom, or in the workplace. We want to inspire women to break the mold and to strive for their goals. In addition to the pro race this summer, we're developing ancillary events, group rides, and clinics that will encourage women and men to use cycling to transform their lives. We will also be delivering 8 months of storytelling about these phenomenal female athletes participating in our event. We're producing a series of heroes videos showing the behind the scenes. As Sean mentioned earlier, the live stream of the race, we're going beyond that. We're telling the stories of these women for the 8 months leading up to the race. So we get to not only connect with the women themselves, but connect the fans, the audience, the spectators, to the athletes that are out there on the field of play. We'll have more details to come on all of that. But in the meantime, we ride. I don't know if I should keep the hat on or take it off. Before we close this morning, I want to make a shout out to some of the other members of the audience who've come to show their support. We have Amy Vassi, who has 2 jobs. Not only is she a professional bike racer, but she's also a veterinarian. And she's raced professionally across Europe, the United States, and Central America. And in 2019, will be riding for the Hagens-Berman Supermint team. Thank you, Amy. Sean mentioned Marianne Martin earlier, as the first winner of the Tour de France for women in 1984. And a fact that I learned as we were preparing for this yesterday was that Marianne was awarded a trophy and $1,000 for her win that year. That same year, the men's prize purse was over $200,000. So I think it's about time we make a change. Thank you, Marianne. And Adelaide Tillinghast is also here to show her support. She rode for the Stages cycling team in our event last year, and we hope to have her out again this year. Thank you, Adelaide. And last but definitely not least, we have Petra Schmidtman. Petra is an emerging junior talent on the roads, and we're hoping for a come out year for you so you can have a shot at participating this year in 2019. Thank you, Petra. Thank you all for joining us today. I just want to let any media know that anyone who spoke this morning will be hanging around for a little bit for one-on-one interviews. Thank you.